Could you please touch on your mindset before and after you initially made your money? Was there a paradigm shift? Sincerely, Mick Ripple in Discord. I had a lot of things play out during that period of time that helped me. So maybe y'all that don't know my full story, we got a lot of new people on here. Again, appreciate you taking time out. A little background for you. I spent a year almost a decade in industrial sales. And during that time, I spent most of my time driving. I would go meet with clients. And while I was in the vehicle, I would just listen to audiobooks. I would listen to content, YouTube, podcasts, whatever I could get my hands on around bodybuilding, which is what my obsession was at the time. In 2020, I competed at nationals in 2019. I was 230 pounds at about 5% body fat and didn't place as well as I wanted. My boy was young. He was about 3 at the time. And so, after I started to gain weight again and put on size, because I was like, all right, well, I got to move to open because I didn't do well in the other class that I was in. And my health started to go a little bit sideways. And I thought, you know what, like, this isn't worth it. I need to take my time and focus and start putting it on something else. And that's when everything really kind of pivoted. And I started spending the, 5 to 10 hours a day that I was consuming content instead of bodybuilding, nutrition, drugs, like everything that it takes to compete in that sport. And I pivoted to finance and business. Listening to Jim Rohn and a lot of, Earl Nightingale, a lot of the other motivational speakers that are out there, Les Brown, you get some of the paradigm shift that it's going to take for you to manage wealth over the long term. Like, you do have to believe that it's going to happen and have the skills, traits, and beliefs to be able to generate the money before it shows up. Jim Rohn says, if somebody hands you $1 million, it's best that you become a millionaire, right? What's worked for me is I picture the highest version of myself, the best version of myself. And I ask myself, what would that person do on a daily basis? What would their habits look like? And if you're able to step into that version of yourself and do those things on a regular basis, we're at the new year here, everybody's new year, new me. They've got their New Year's resolutions. This is a great way to do it. If you can imagine the best version of yourself and then what that person would do on a daily basis and their habits, that's the cheat code. You will figure it out. And when it comes to the financial education, I would just start reading books. I would start listening to podcasts. There's a lot of stuff that I listen to that is not in vogue. It's boring. It's mundane. A lot of the things with family office, there's not a huge amount of family office content out there on YouTube. Angela Robles is great. You've also got, Richard C. Wilson, who wrote the Family Office book. There's not that many people that talk about family office and how to manage wealth across generations and impart, skills, traits, and beliefs, core principles, and values to the next generation to be good stewards of that wealth over the long term, because that's really what you become. And that's probably the biggest mindset shift is before you're wealthy, it's your money, right? Like, you're risking it. You're doing this on your own accord. Obviously, it's for your family and the betterment of your life. But on the other side of wealth, when it comes to you, wealth preservation is paramount. It should be your number one concern. And when I say wealth preservation, that means keeping up with inflation, not necessarily making a real return. All of the wealthiest families that I know want to maintain their purchasing power of their estate. And then secondary to that, they want to compound it and grow it. So that's, again, why our number one rule at Digital Wealth Partners is don't use XRP. And rule number 2 is refer to rule number 1, because that is going to be what the majority of people use to generate significant amounts of wealth for themselves and their family. And if you can just hold on to that, it's going to do much better than inflation over the long term. Now, we need ways to generate cash flow off of that and be able to leverage it and draw loans against it so it's tax-free. We've created all those things, right? The other thing that really helped me was finding good mentors and people that understood things way beyond what I did at the time. Went to school for finance. I would say probably 85 to 90% of what I use on a daily basis, I was never taught in school. There was a gentleman, out on Twitter, and thank you for this. He said that he feels like, from the information we provided in the mastermind, he's got a whole MBA in how to manage investments, financial education, business resources, estate planning, tax mitigation. There's tons of information that we provide there that if you just listen to it, and again, I'm not the end all be all. I know enough to be dangerous. You're going to be able to, at least know the right questions to ask when you approach these professionals. And that's what I was going to say is find good professionals, find good mentors that have a good track record and work with them. And then you're going to be able to discern, over the long term, what their paradigm is and their frameworks for thinking, the tools and tricks that you have at your disposal, and where those fit as those opportunities present themselves.